What's up, guys? This is Jordan with Simple Trading Success, back with another video. Here, I help traders advance their mindset and wealth principles and mindset, as well as traders help you simplify your process. Now, in this video, this is going to be the fourth video of my series called Great Gains. Okay, guys? So, Great Gains, the secrets for spotting key zones and winning moves, part 4. And in our previous video, if you watch part 3, we talked about market structure, right? We talked about you following the direction of the market. So imagine that the market is trending up and you get in this market and you're in buys and the market is doing this thing. And then all of a sudden, boom, market just shifts. Or let's say the market looked like it was about to buy and you're buying and you're like, oh no, the market just, it totally went against me. The structure was wrong. And oh my God. So the thing is, you're going to be seeing these type of shifts in all different time frames. So even on the bigger time frames, there's going to be market structure shifts happening on the little time frames. And sometimes on the big time frames, they look like pullbacks, but sometimes there's structure shifts. And then sometimes you clearly see them on the bigger time frame. So you're seeing these uptrends and downtrends happening all the time. And what I want to help you do is be able to identify a lot clearer um, if you're witnessing if you're witnessing a market structure shift, and whether you necessarily need to watch out. Okay, I need to pivot, or I need to be buying instead of selling, or vice versa, right? So, so how can we determine this? I have one word for you, and that is displacement. And what is displacement? Displacement is a decisive break of a significant swing point. And let's talk about, in the last video, remember we talked about our market structure, right? Imagine that you had an uptrending structure, right? Imagine we had an uptrending structure. Imagine we had our lows and remember we're setting our higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, etc., right? And the market is just doing its thing. And then with a displacement, you'll see that all of a sudden, with these higher highs, one of these pivot points might be this one, it might be this one, it might be all of them. Somebody's going to get a break. There's going to be a break in the structure. So we're going to see a pivot. We're going to see one of these swing points getting broken. And basically this break of structure, for example, here we talked about this is where the lows have been displaced. And when that happens, you'll see a retest occur, and you'll start to see that, for example, you see these lows, highs, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher low, high high, higher low, etc. And then we see at this top higher high, boom, the market just plummeted down, set a new low, came back up to test, came up to test an area of support, right? The support zone came up to test, and it made a lower high, of course, because it's lower than the previous high, and it continued, made a new low, and we see the structure of the market started to shift. And so when you want to be able to see when the market is about to shift, you want to be able to pay attention to displacement. So let's show you this. I want to show you this on the chart. Let's go back. Let's go to chart. We're gonna go to Euro JPY. Remember, guys, I was showing you the other day, right? I was showing you on the when we dealt with the market structure video, we were dealing with how the market was uptrending, right? And we could clearly see that, right? We saw how the market was making these staircases up, right? Highs, lower highs, higher highs, lower highs, higher highs, lower highs, and then it started to struggle here, right? And then market finally it started to manipulate, started to go up, make some more lower highs and higher highs, and then the market just boom plummeted. And so what happened here? We had this big candle, and so normally you see displacement, you'll see this big run. And again, this could be happening on all time frames. Right now, we're looking at the hour, but you could be looking at something like this happening on a small time frame. And now this big candle came, and guess what? It broke this structure broke these higher lows, right? It even broke these higher lows too. And then what happened when we saw that break? It came back and it retested. It retested area of support. So if we were to look previously in the market, for example, we can see here we had an area right here of support. We had an area of a floor and a ceiling, right? Because we saw the market created this higher high, lower high, broke higher high, lower high, right? Higher high, and continue. And so we see this area here, right? I would even say it's down more because we had it here. And then we see the market come up, just barely touch this zone. And then it came down, created this higher low, right? Came down, created a lower low, came down, created a new I say lower high, excuse me, and then continued. And so we can see this clear shift. We can see this clear shift because if you weren't, let's just say you weren't certain here, you could wait for the high to be made and wait for the next level to be set. And we saw that was here. And we can clearly see it over here from previous. We see the market. And so we basically seen, what I'm saying is that we've seen the displacement happen. And so you can see this happening all throughout the chart. Like if I let's just go backwards and see if we can find anything else like this. Right? Where the market has shifted. Look at this. Look at this. Market was uptrending. So we see the market creating these highs. We're gonna bring it over here, make it bigger. So we see the market coming, right? These lows, these highs, a higher low, higher high, right? You got higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Kind of broke here, this low, but you can see it wicked. And then it continued up, right? Continued up. Then boom, guess what? Boom, big candle, displacement. It broke these highs right here, and these lows. This low right here, and this low here, and displaced. So we could have said, okay, well, it's gonna test a level, and then you can see it tested this support level here, and then the market drop, or we see structure shift, and the market continued down until there was a shift back of structure, right here on a smaller time frame. Right, see displacement here of these highs, and boom, went up. You could wait for the retest here, and you see that it continued. The structure continued back on the bigger time frame. Right, and so this is basically how we can see displacement. So now, second thing, the next thing I look for is a supply and demand zone. What is that? What do I mean by supply and demand zone? Well, let's look at this. For example, so a supply and demand zone is this. You're going to have areas in a market where you can have those major pivot points, right? So for example, let's talk about this. We had the beginning basically of this run. Right? We had the beginning of this run here, let's say. Right? And then market I should say broke this level, and then we see just a whole bunch of we've seen a lot of bullish candles just go up. Then we start to see rejection here. And then we see some more highs and lows. They weren't like major, right? But we've seen one here, kind of here, or I should say here. This was the start of the next run. So we could either say this was a start or here. So let me show you. So let's actually do this. Let's delete this. We could say that This was the start of the next run, or we could say this was the start of the next run. I want to say here, this was the start of the next bullish run. So to me, these are my supply and demand zones, right? So I'm looking at that kind of that first bullish candle, right? A lot of times you see it engulfing from that previous red candle, and you'll see it break the zone, right? And so these are the supply, these are my supply and demand zones, right? These are my supply and demand zones, right? And then market goes up, and then guess what? Market displaced, and so I'm looking for the market to retest one of these zones, and that's exactly what it did. It didn't retest here, but it retested this zone, right? And it rejected. So that's another confirmation to me that this displacement is happening and that the market is about to shift. Okay. And so another thing that I could look for, this doesn't always happen, but sometimes this happens, is what's called a fair value gap. And I'm gonna have a video on this strictly just breaking this down. And so what is this? Well, let's talk about this. The market displaced, and when the market displaced, it left a gap in the market right here. You see this? It left a big old gap in the market. There was no buyers. Sorry, there was no buyers or sellers right here. It just dropped. And so there needs to be a retracement. Normally, this is what's called a fair value gap. And when the market does that, you'll see the market likes to retrace somewhere into the zone. Sometimes it doesn't come all the way up. Sometimes it literally just touches the zone and goes, right? And you'll see this kind of thing. This is called imbalance. So basically, that's what a fair value gap is. Basically, is a zone of imbalance, right? And you'll see this thing, you'll see this happening, right? And you can scale even on smaller time frames to see this, right? Um, but again, I'm not gonna go too deep into that right now, right? And so this fair value gap was made, as well as once you see the rejection. Let's say you're not sure if it's gonna go all the way up, and you say, I'm gonna wait. Then you could wait for that retest, right? Remember that retest zone that we determined from previous price action, or the remember I talked about the supply and demand zone, which basically is the same thing as that support and resistance zone, right? Remember these two supply and demand zones? I said, okay, I asked to test one of these if this displacement is happening, it's gonna continue down, right? And it tested the bottom one, and then guess what happened? If you open this up and you look, you can see there's another gap in the market. So right here is a gap. Right? There's no gaps here because we see the wicks. We see the wicks, but here there's a gap. There was no retracement up here. Right? There was no retracement up here. And so sometimes you can wait for that imbalance, but to get tested, but it didn't get tested actually. Or did it? Let me see. Yeah, it didn't get tested. So at some point in time, this most likely is going to come up and get tested. Let's see. Yeah, did the market ever retest this? Huh? Okay, so the market is coming down right now. So basically, you can see that it didn't get tested for one thing. So that's another confirmation. That's another confirmation that the market is shifting. It didn't even get touched, and it's gone. And then it starts to make new what lower highs. So these are things you want to look out for when displacement happens. And when that happens, just manage your risk, guys. Manage your risk. And guess what? Again, trade with the trend. Manage your risk and trade with the trend, and ride the wave of the new trend. Ride the wave of the new structure of the market. Just constantly check are there highs and lows. Look at your chart. If you gotta mark it up, put your little dots or whatever your little symbols or your lines or your shapes or your colors. So that way you can say, okay, what's happening is this market making higher highs and lower highs, is uptrending, or is it making higher lows or lower lows? And then you can see where these pivot points are, and of course, look for the displacement. Right, look for the displacement, or when you see displacement happen, be mindful that the market might not be going in the direction that you were previously seeing with structure. So wait. Okay, guys. So I hope that this helped. Sorry for some of the pauses in the video. Um, I'm still managing this cold, so guys, um, thank you for watching this series, this little masterclass series of great gains, and thank you. I will see you on the next one. Peace out, guys. Peace and blessings.